So the next step for the validation would be to validate if this email is already registered in the database or not. And that's a very important part to make. But we can't do it directly because we have created a database. We created, like, we called it Chope and everything, but we didn't create like the schema for the user, because every single database you create, any type of data, it must have a structure to it, or what we call models. For example, in MongoDB, for example, we're gonna have the user, we're gonna have like the products, we're gonna have like the cards, we're gonna have many things. And the most important thing is to define the attributes or properties for every single model. For example, we have a user, it should have like a name, an email, a password, an image, verification, address, etc. So to make sure that you can able to access that database and look for that user with that same email, you already have to create something that is called a model in MongoDB. And that's what we're trying to do in this video before continuing. So let me show you how we're gonna do. So first of all, I'm gonna zoom in because it seems like it's not clear enough. Let me go right here in the folders, like in the main routes. I'm gonna create a new folder and I'm gonna call it models. Okay, and I'm just gonna go right here and I'm gonna create a new file. Let's call it user.js. If you remember, we already created something that is called, we installed something called Mongoose. So we're just going to import it, Mongoose from Mongoose. Okay, that's something very simple. And now we need to create the schema and define the properties of that user. So let's go and call it user schema. And this is going to be simply, we're going to go new and we're going to use Mongoose, and then we're going to use schema to define the schema, and then right here the objects. So the first thing is the name. And the name, simply, you just gotta define the type of it. So a type of it is gonna be simply a string. That's the first thing. Is it required? Is it required? So we're gonna go required. And you can just simply go right here true, or like have a message. So the message, for example, please enter your name, or like your full name. Something like that. Okay? And that's very important. There is something that is called trim, and it should be like true or false, or like you have a message for it. But we're not going to use it because the name is going to be the phone name, and the trim it is going to remove the spaces. So we might not use it right here. But for example, for the email, I'm just going to go right here. The type should be string. Just follow me. This is boring and you know this, you can just simply copy them. So required, and we can have simply a message that is please enter your email address. So now if you go try and register into the database and you have this email is not filled, you're gonna get this message instead of a message that is gonna be randomly by MongoDB. So this is like a custom message. And also we need to trim it because we can't have spaces in the email. And the last thing, it should be unique. Go true, or actually like have a certain message like that. But I'm just gonna keep it true. The most important thing, that email is unique because you cannot have two users with the same email. And then we're gonna go to password. Type is gonna be string, and there. So let me just make sure. Okay, so also required, and then please enter a password, something like that, and we continue to fill the rest of the information. So also the role, because we're gonna have like the normal user, or like you can call it like the buyer, or like you can call it the buyer. Also we can have like a seller if you want to create stores, which is something that we might add. Also you can have like the admin. So the role could be a lot of stuff. So we can go, the type of it is simply string. Sorry, string. And then you can have like something that is called default, which is the default value for anyone that gets registered. So for example, buyer. Okay, or like you can go simply user. Okay, let's have it as a user, and the other one is going to be admin. And if you want to have a seller, you can just go as seller, something like that. And then we're going to have an image. Okay, so the type of it also is going to be string, because simply is going to be the link to an image that is going to be uploaded for the user. And then the default, we can have like a default image. So for me, I have this random default image I'm gonna take from here. I've uploaded to Cloudinary. I'm just gonna copy the link. You can use that if you want to, but you can have your own, it's fine. So every user that's gonna register is gonna have this default image, which is something cool. And then there's something that is called email verified. So this is if the email is verified or not. So the type of it is going to be Boolean. And the reason for Boolean, because it's just simply going to be true or false. So by default, it should be false. Every account you create in the beginning, the email is not verified. But when we verify it, we just change this value to true. And then also default payment method Okay, because we can have many methods for the payment. So for example, you can just like have cash, or like for example have PayPal, or like a credit card. So there is different type of payments, so we gotta make sure that if the user want to have a default one that he want to use like all the time, so we can do that. So sorry, not boolean, the type should be, let me just make, yeah, the type should be string. What am I doing? So we can have like the default as empty. There is no default payment, sorry, default like that. Why is it not saving? Okay, so this for this. And now we can actually go to the address. So I'm gonna go to the address, or like you can call it addresses. I don't know if like that. I don't know, I'm just gonna have it as address. It's just gonna simply gonna be an array because we're gonna have many. Okay, so it's gonna have many, so you can have like multiple. So the first one is gonna be the first name, and this is gonna be, let me just make the type string. And then let me just copy this. So the first name, we're gonna have the last name, we're gonna have the phone number, we're gonna have address 1, address 2, the city, the zip code, the state, the country, and something else that I'm gonna add later, which is gonna be if it's active. So we can know if the user has an active address that he uses all the time, so he can use it. So this is gonna be last name, and this is, if we make some mistakes, we're gonna notice later and we're gonna fix them. So phone, because we are humans and we can forget and make mistakes. So phone number. And then after the phone number, this is going to be address. Okay, this is getting annoying. Address 1, go copy it, my friend, it's fine. Like, you don't have to torture yourself writing with me this. And so, okay, the address 2, we're going to have the city. And then also we're going to have the zip code. Okay, cutie. Cutie. So this is going to be the city. And then after that, we're going to have the zip code. This is too much, depending on what. So like if you want just little informations, you just ask for it, that's fine. If you want to create a store that only work on one country, you don't have to really, you know, ask for the country and stuff. So, and then the last thing should be active, and the active should be boolean. Okay, and by default it should be false. Okay, default it should be false. So if we have like an address that you want to make active and you want to use, this should be the active one. And also we can go, okay, so this is like everything. You can go after right here and then go to the end and just go like that and just go timestamps. It should be true. And the timestamp, if you don't know what timestamps are, so simply when you create a user, it's gonna add something that is called created add and updated add. So you know the date that you created this, and when you update a user, it's gonna create a date for the update add. Okay, so whenever you update it, it's gonna change that date for the update one, and for the, you know, the created one is always gonna stay the same. So we can just simply go right now and then const user, and it's gonna equal mongoose.models if it does exist, so models.user. Okay, if it doesn't, we're gonna go fallback and create this. So mongoose.model, and it's gonna be called user, and we're gonna pass the user schema to it. Okay, like that, and we just need to export it as default. So export default and then use. If we made a mistake, we will realize in the next course when we actually work on the validation for the user. This is, you know, not final. We could change stuff, we could add stuff, because we don't know what I'm gonna add to the course. I feel like, okay, so there is something wrong right here. I just noticed. So for the email, so okay, after this, we should close this. And in this, there is something. So for the address, okay, let me just make sure. Okay, so the default method. Okay, let me remove one from here. Okay, now close the email, close the password, the role, the image, and then the image verified. Okay, address, sorry, just copy them, please. Don't waste your time writing with me. So this is all, and we will see in the next video.